we are masters of uncertainty. We are individuals and teams that can drop into deeply complex environments and start performing optimally and figure it out. This is what we all need to be. Knowing that, let's talk about what a high-performing team is, okay? A high-performing team, we always think of a sports team, an athletic team, or a military team, a business team. High-performing team is simply any group of 2 or more people working together towards a common goal or objective that not only performs when things are going well, but also when things aren't going well. That is the distinguishing factor between a regular team and a high-performing team. Any team can perform when things are going well. It's easy. The high-performing teams perform when things go sideways, when the you-know-what hits the fan, when the plan changes. The other thing this tells us is that a high-performing team, it doesn't have to be just a military team, a business team, or an athletic team. A high-performing team can be a great marriage. A high-performing team can be a group of friends on a trip. A high-performing team can be a group of people working on a project for their church. The point is, all of us, every single one of us, are on multiple teams in our lives, in different aspects of our lives. And the good news is, whether it's a 2-person team or a 100-person team or a 1,000-person team, everything I'm talking about applies to any team you're on. This is still not how a high-performing team operates, because on a high-performing team, burden is distributed. It's not all on one person. So largely in frustration, I basically just drew a blob. And I said, where do you think the leader sits in this blob? And I got answers like, front, back, top, bottom, sides. And I said, all of you are correct. In this blob, the leader is wherever the leader needs to be in the moment. And this is a concept I call dynamic subordination. In dynamic subordination, a team understands that problems and issues and challenges can come from any angle at any moment. And when one does, the person who is closest to the problem and the most capable immediately steps up and takes lead. And then the environment shifts, and someone else steps up. And it shifts again, and someone else steps up. It's a dynamic swap between leader and follower relationship. I also call it alpha swapping. That alpha position hops to wherever it needs to hop to. So I used to say a system is never just the sum of its parts. It's a product of how they interact. So goes the same with teams. A team is never just the sum of its parts. A team is the product of how those parts interact. But the story goes, this kid shows up to SEAL training, he walks into the instructor's office and says, I want to be a Navy SEAL. The instructors say, okay, fine, but you have to do a swim test. And the kid's like, okay. So they take him out to the pool. It's going to be an easy swim test, 50 meters, so 25 meters to one end, 25 meters back to the other end. Kid gets all ready, gets ready to jump in the pool. It's his time to jump in the pool. He jumps in. As soon as he jumps in the pool, he sinks right to the bottom of the pool. And he starts walking across the bottom of the pool to one end. He touches that end, and he walks across the bottom of the pool back to the other end. He comes up, he's gasping for air, nearly drowning. And the instructor looks at him and says, what the hell are you doing? And the kid, who's still catching his breath, looks at the instructor and says, I'm sorry, instructor, I don't know how to swim. At that point, the instructor pauses, and he looks at the kid and says, that's okay, we can teach you how to swim. Why did the instructor say that? He said that because if this kid had the attributes, the qualities to show up to Navy SEAL training, one of the most elite maritime units on the planet, and he did not know how to swim, he had everything inside of him to be a Navy SEAL. Teaching him the skill of swimming was going to be easy. So I separated this idea between attributes and skills. Let me give you those distinctions, okay? Skills are learned. They are not inherent to our nature. None of us are born with the ability to ride a bike or throw a ball or, in the military case, shoot a gun, okay? We're trained to do those things. We're taught to do those things. Skills direct our behavior in known and specific environments. Here's how and when to ride a bike, throw a ball, shoot a gun. And then because skills are very visible, they're very easy to assess, measure, and test. You can see how well anyone does any one of those things. You can put them on resumes. You can put scores around them and stats around them. The problem with skills is they don't tell us how we're going to show up in stress, challenge, and uncertainty. Because in an uncertain environment, an unknown environment, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to apply a known skill. This is when we lean on our attributes. Attributes, on the other hand, are inherent to our nature. If you do all of this correctly, you become the last secret, and it's what I define the Navy SEALs as from the beginning. It's not about the shooting. It's not about the skydiving. It's not about the scuba diving. It's the fact that we are masters of uncertainty. We are individuals and teams that can drop into deeply complex environments and start performing optimally and figure it out. This is what we all need to be. The more you're going to start seeing attributes. Here's an example, just in a hiring way. Okay, imagine some of us wanted to figure out someone who's good at sales. Okay, so we tell this person on a Friday, we say, come in Monday morning, and you're going to sell us this clicker. Okay, and so we all go home for the weekend. We all come in Monday morning. The person shows up, and the person proceeds just to wow us on a presentation about the clicker. Okay, I mean, just blow our minds. Now, unfortunately, we would not have learned very much. All we would have learned is that person's very good at going home, preparing, and giving a presentation on a clicker. So instead, what we do is we basically say, okay, Friday, we say, come in Monday morning, you're going to sell us this clicker. Okay, we come in Monday morning, and when they come in, we say, you know what, plans change. You're not going to sell us this clicker anymore. You're going to sell us this coffee cup. And oh, by the way, there's no audio visual, so just go with it. Now, at that point, what we're going to have to do is very deliberately divorce ourselves from skills assessment, because what we're about to see is going to be ugly. But now we're looking at how they behave. Right? Do they make it work? Do they make light of it? Do they just, throw things together in a productive way? Or do they kick the ground? Do they complain? Do they spiral downward? Now we're looking at attributes. Attributes are always seen on the periphery.
Can we still be successful as leaders and succeed with a mostly remote team?
I believe the answer is yes, you can. However, that's caveated by saying you can't all be remote. First of all, the remote exchanges need to be more than just business, okay? Building trust is about understanding each other at human levels, right? So if every time you're on a Zoom meeting, you're just going straight to business, talk about business, and you're done, then you're not building trust. You're not building that relationship of caring and compassion. So if you're going to be doing virtual meetings, you want to actually put in some virtual effort. Whether it's have some parts of the meeting that are a little bit more personal, or I've had friends who are CEOs who have literal virtual lunches with employees, right? And they don't talk about business at all, by the way. They just talk about each other. They talk about our lives. That all said, it needs to be buttressed by this type of stuff, okay? This human connection. So the more you can hybrid, the better.
Love it.
If you feel like you're an organization that has to do mostly virtual, then have these